Hey everybody, Dustin DePirac here, coming to you live from my hotel room in Tallahassee. Apologize for the graininess. Was just writing all day. It just got done and it's dark, so hence the reason you can't see me extremely well. Anyway, obviously, Indiana begins its first ever super regional tomorrow against Florida State at Florida State. First game matchup. Joey, the Indiana making history, as Tracy Smith pointed out today. With every pitch they take, with every pitch they throw, with every pitch they take, with every ball they field, they're making history. Basically, they just keep, they're going far forward than any other Indiana baseball team ever has. No other team had ever won more than two regional games, or no, more than one regional game. So Indiana, obviously, in uncharted waters here, and playing an extremely good Florida State team. That obviously is at a caliber a little bit higher than anybody they played. Louisville is sort of right there, is obviously another super regional team. But Florida State obviously has a history, unlike anybody they've really played. Florida has the history, but Florida didn't have as good of a team as they usually have. And you can sort of tell that just hanging around the ballpark today. They were over at Dick Howser Stadium having practice. You see some of the sort of murals on the walls and on the concourse and, by their batting tunnel and in the clubhouse, everything back there. There's a lot of guys that have come from Florida State to play a lot of pro ball. Buster Posey being sort of the most recent superstar. A lot of teams from this 22, I think, College World Series teams out of Florida State. But for this particular team, Indiana doesn't match up that bad. It's a pretty even looking matchup in a lot of different ways. Both teams are very, very good. Both teams pitch it well and hit the ball well. Indiana doesn't have anything to be really, there's no reason they should be really overwhelmed. I mean, they do have the best hitter in this entire super regional, probably, maybe the best overall professional prospect in Kyle Schwarber. He's a good chance he'll be, he's not draft eligible yet, but there's a good chance that he could be a first or second round pick a year from now. He's got 17 home runs and probably has more pure power than anybody else. Sam Travis might be the other best hitter. But they are going up against a Florida State lineup that's got a lot of, just is very, very solid, by all accounts. They don't get themselves out. That's what basically any coach in the ACC will tell you, is that you can't hope to get them to chase pitches out of the zone. You can't hope that they're going to make mistakes at the plate. You've got to beat them. You've got to throw strikes, and you've got to get them out, that way. There's no other real way to do it. You can't hope that they'll bail you out. You've got to take some risks, throw the ball in the zone, and hope they don't hit it. Hope they don't hit it. Hope you've spotted your pitches well. Hope you're throwing, mixed speeds, keeping them off balance, making sure that they're not able to really get into anything. They've got a couple guys that are pretty powerful. DJ Stewart's their two-hole hitter, all ACC second teamer. I think has 25 doubles, hitting 363 with about 5 home runs. I believe 56 RBI. He's probably their best hitter, but they got a couple other really good lefties. Catcher Stephen McGee was picked as a 9th round pick today by the LA Angels. Also Marcus Davis and got to pronounce his name right, Jose Brizuela, I think. As their third baseman. So they've got a few other really good guys that have some power in the order that can make you pay if you make a mistake to them. Got a bunch of other guys that that can hit really well situationally, get hits when they need them, get 2-out hits. Indiana's countering that with Joey Donato, which is probably a really, really good move. Florida State struggled a little bit more with lefties. That's one sort of situation where it sounds like they have actually made some mistakes. They've tried to maybe swing a little bit too hard against some of the softer throwing left-handers. Maybe got themselves in some trouble. And Donato is the type of guy that can beat you that way. He's got he spots his fastball really well, but it's not overpowering. Throws in mid to high 80s, but nothing that'll blow you away. But his second and third pitches, his curveball, his changeup, you can throw those for strikes. You can get those in the zone and start you off down 0-1 with an off-speed pitch, and then that's obviously something that's difficult to do. And Donato's very, very good at that. So that sets him up, I think, very, very well with this lineup to be able to take advantage of that. There's a lot of lefties that he can sort of neutralize, maybe take them out of the game a little bit. Still has to go up against guys like Stewart that have some power, but has the edge against guys like McGee and Davis and that sort of thing. Can maybe take advantage of that. Again, get them swinging out of their shoes a little bit. Now, Florida State counters with a really, kind of flame-throwing right-hander, Luke Weaver, sophomore kid. He's kind of skinny, about 6'2", 165, 170, something like that, but has a lot of velocity, throws in the mid-90s, and has really learned how to spot a lot of different pitches. Can throw, a changeup, a curveball for a strike, and has learned how to sort of attack the zone. Told me last year that he tried to nibble a little bit too much, just kind of stay on the black, stay on the corners, and, try to be a little bit too fine with it. This year he's sort of trusting his stuff a lot more, trusting his pitches, not necessarily necessarily, grooving them necessarily, but not being afraid to be, more on the thirds than necessarily trying to live on the black and walking a bunch of people. He's gotten a lot better at that, and is coming off an extremely good performance against Troy in the regional. Struck out 14 in 8 shutout innings. They ended up winning that game 11-0. Just rolled through their regional. I believe they outscored their opponents, I believe, 32-4. In that one, so they're feeling pretty good. They'd had a couple losses, pretty close losses down the stretch. They lost 4 in a row going into the regional, but kind of feel like they've got it all back together. Indiana again, though, feeling pretty undaunted about it. Obviously, coming off, just a really good stretch of baseball. I mean, obviously had this sort of shaky performance against Valpo in the first game of the regional, but came back to win that one on the Chad Clark walk-off, and won the next 2 games. I think a combined 21-7. You just got it together, more or less. And again, hit it well, pitch it well. Have been hitting the ball extremely well just in recent weeks. Sam Travis has really picked it up. Is really starting to find it. Kyle Schwarber's been really tough to get out all year. Dustin DeMuth has been stepping it up. It's close to 400. He was taken as an 8th round pick today by the Twins. And everybody's more or less getting it rolling. So it's going to be, more or less everybody sort of acknowledged that this is going to be a really good series. Mike Martin was very complimentary of Indiana, gave him a lot of credit just for what they have to go through. And Mike Martin just said, I don't know how you guys get as much done as you do when you have to spend as much time indoors. Obviously in the North you have to play really indoor baseball. You're practicing indoors until about the middle of March before you can really go outside and play. And that's sort of whether you have to spend most of the first month on the road, going to tournaments in Florida and South Carolina and that sort of thing. Indiana had to do that before they could finally get home in middle to end of March. Mike Martin sort of pointed out, I've never even had to deal with that. He's been at Florida State his whole career, and it's never that cold. So, gave a lot of, basically both teams just sort of gave a lot of credit to each other, just showing a lot of respect. And I guess basically everybody looks at this one as a really exciting, interesting series. One of the ones I think that stands out of all the super regionals. It's sort of a 7-10 matchup that's not, Indiana's not necessarily defined as a 10, but they pretty much are. And it's got a chance to be a really good one. There is a very, really good, good chance either one of those teams could belong in Omaha. Either one of those teams could make some noise in Omaha. So they get started tomorrow at noon. It's going to be on ESPNU, the first 2 games. If they make it to Monday, it'll be on ESPN2. So stick with us. We'll have a lot of stuff coming from there. Thanks a lot.